Thank you very much for being with us today. It is an honor and a pleasure to be with Chief Chris Velasquez from the Lake Wales Police Department, Chief Lloyd Stewart from the Haines City Police Department, and our resident agent in charge for the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, Brandon Shealy. When you work together, good things happen. And that's what happened in this particular investigation. These guys were known as the Bell Gang. Today we talk about the Bell Gang has the Bell Gang blues because they're locked up in the county jail. But let me tell you how this began. It goes back as far as March of 2020 when FDLE and Lake Wales Police Department were investigating a group of people that were dealing in cocaine, methamphetamine, and cannabis. You know, all three of those low-level nonviolent drugs people want you to think are low-level nonviolent drugs. In November of 2020, the Sheriff's Office was investigating a gentleman by the name of James McClain. And as we did our deconfliction on the investigation, our undercover detectives determined that we were all working the same group of people. So we began a joint investigation. Now let's fast forward. As this investigation occurred, our detectives thought the best way to deal with this is with what we call a Title III in federal courts or 934 in state courts. It's a wiretap. It's where we listen to their phones. We go online with them with a court order. So our detectives working together in February of 2021 went up on the first telephone, and they went up on the phone of James McClain. James is 34 years of age. He goes by the street name of Mook. He was dealing in meth, cannabis, and he was a major distributor for the Lake Wales area. And interestingly enough, during the investigation, James told our undercover folks, when they asked him, why is this methamphetamine blue? He said, oh, we dyed it blue in recognition of the Democrat Party, of the Democrats. Now, I'm not sure the Democrat Party would be proud of that, but that's why it was blue, according to him. From that telephone, they listened into Vincent Thomas. That was the second phone they went up on. He's also, as you see on our chart here, he's 35. He's a major distributor in and around the Lake Wales area. And he's also a rapper. He's known as Cheese. And you'll hear more about him in just a second. And then the third one whose phone we went up on was Patrick Fields. Patrick Fields is known as Big Pat. He's also a rapper. In fact, on the street, he's known as Big Pat Bank Account. That's right. If you look to see their cars, you see that they're bragging about jewelry and guns. They're really proud. And then I always like to talk about Earl Thomas. Now, Earl Thomas is the father to Vincent. Like father, like son. What do you think about the county jail? Well, son, you got me in trouble again. That's right. Like father, like son, only Vincent is the distributor, and Earl was selling drugs on the street level at his car wash. See you later, son. Give me a kiss. Now, what did this result in? Well, we charged 32 people criminally. 29 of them have been arrested. 3 are still at large, and you can see we've designated the ones that are at large. So, hey, you can go ahead and turn yourself in. or you're just going to go to jail tired from running, but you're going to jail. We served 8 search warrants, 7 of them in Lake Wales and 1 of them in the Frostproof area. On one of the search warrants, we had to use a SWAT team because when we went there, the guy threatened to commit suicide and he held himself hostage, but after a while, we were able to get him out of the house without there being any injuries. It was touch and go for a few minutes, but once again, we had our best trained deputies and law enforcement officers there, and we were able to work through that. We seized 11 firearms. 2 of them were reported stolen to us. So let me let you see this. And let me let you see the marijuana. And Chris, can you hold that for me, Chief? And then you tie that to the money. And then there's people out here every day in the media saying, oh, this marijuana is low-level, non-violent. People are dying because of that. And it's not low-level, non-violent, and neither is the other drugs. You think about that the next time somebody tells you cocaine, methamphetamine, marijuana, it's just low-level, non-violent. They're lying to you. So let's look at their previous charges. 8 of them are previously convicted felons. They had a total of 314 previous felonies, 331 misdemeanors, for a total of 645 previous crimes. Well, that didn't seem to teach them that they need to go by society's rules. So here's what our Lake Wales FDLE agents, Lake Wales police officers, and our detectives from the sheriff's office did. We added another 301 felonies, 134 misdemeanors, and 435 total charges. We seized $88,000 in cash, $89,000 in jewelry, and street value, we seized $283,000 in narcotics, $460,000 worth. And they were marketing themselves, as you might well expect that they would. In fact, they were marketing themselves because they look cool in the community. And we have, or we'll show you, some video of the vehicles they had. That's right. They thought they were cool. Well, how cool are you today? Can y'all make up a rap song about this? Well, I'll help you out. You see, we got you gold. We put your tail in the county jail. You think about that, brothers. And you know what? This, you could call it the Blue Gang, the Bell Gang Blue rap song. How's that? You may think it's cool, but it'll end up with you arrested every time. It's not bad if you got it legal. Now, I wanted to give my colleagues a chance to talk. I explained they didn't have to do the rap song, but we are all excited because it took a lot of work by a lot of great detectives to make this happen, all in Lake Wales. So we'll start with my friend and just a great police chief, Chief Velasquez.
Thank you, Sheriff.
You can dance if you like, though, by the way.
I appreciate it. I appreciate you also not having me do the rap song. It'd be hard to top that. This is a great example of people working together, of law enforcement agencies working together. The criminals don't follow any kind of a jurisdiction. They don't stay within boundaries. They go wherever they want. And by us partnering and working together as a team, we did the same thing. So wherever they like to go, I can guarantee you that we'll follow them. The community asked for us to help and to step up and to deal with these drug dealers, and we responded. This is just a great example. 32 people with warrants, and a good number of them, most of them already arrested. I can tell you right now, and our message is very clear, that we know who the others are, and we're hearing a lot from our friends here on the wall, and you're next. So, thank you.
And we'll ask our RAC, Brandon Shealy from FDLE, if he'll speak.
I just want to echo what the chief and the sheriff said, and I want to extend our appreciation to the men and women of each respective department. They put in 16 months of very hard work, and this is what happens. This is a success. It's the safety we provide our community, and this represents exactly the type of cases and the hard work, collaboration, and partnership we need to have to make sure that our citizens are safe here. Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you very much. Now, I asked Chief Stewart if he would speak, and he said no. He said, I'm satisfied just to be standing there. Then he added, but you could tell them we rang their bell, and that's exactly what we did. But there's more bell ringing to come. So if you think this is the end, it's only the beginning, and these folks like to talk. Are there any questions for us?
Can you elaborate on how important it is to get these drugs off the streets, especially when there's so many young people around this area?
These are the folks. Now, some of these people were users of drugs. For example, Angela, we have a warrant for her. She was not selling, she was using. But these are the folks that are dealing with this drug at the ground level. We call it ground zero. It's where the drug is going from the dealers, or from the distributor to the dealers, and they're handing it directly to the people in the community, to include our children. And that's why these are the most dangerous. And they carry these guns. You know, they carry these guns to protect themselves from each other. They don't fear the police, but they certainly fear each other, and the rip-offs and the home invasions and the drive-by shootings. And that's what makes this so very dangerous. We know that when we work together and good things happen, and make no mistake about it, your local police hears it on the street. But for us to be ultimately successful, we need to do this wiretap, to ferret out the people who were big time involved in distributing drugs on the streets of Lake Wales. Otherwise, we wouldn't have the criminal charges we have now. And a lot of these cases are 15-year minimum mandatories. I'll never let up saying there are people that think we need to do away with the minimum mandatories. Oh, let's just do away with them. Oh, so they can distribute these kinds of drugs to your children and not be held appropriately accountable? Oh, so they can just have their guns and they brag with their gold and their fancy cars. When you show a bunch of kids cash, they think it's cool. And you don't think they should be held ultimately responsible? Fortunately, the overwhelming majority of the Florida legislature gets it, our governor gets it, and we're going to keep locking people up like this because this is where it's going to the kids on the streets.
Can you speak to the impact? I mean, how much of a dent does this even make?
I think this makes a significant dent in the Lake Wales area because this was a network of drug dealers and sellers and some users. Does that mean that we've stopped all drug sales in Lake Wales or Polk County? Obviously not. There's competitors out there, but I consider that more opportunities to make more arrests. I'm very comfortable with it. And heck, who knows? We may end up making another rap song.
What was your reaction to figuring out how many people were intertwined in this, and it just kept growing?
We truly expected that, but that's why these types of 934 investigations are important, because otherwise you can't always sew together the distributors and all of their partners. And we were able to do that. This takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of legwork behind the scene that you don't see.
You said that you guys aren't done yet. There's a lot more to do. Going forward, do you expect there to be a lot more cases like this? Or?
Well, first and foremost, we're going to work with the state attorney's office and see if we can bring additional charges to them. I like racketeering. Racketeering is a 30-year minimum mandatory, or I'm sorry, it's a 30-year felony. It's a first-degree felony. So it's not a minimum mandatory, it's a 30-year felony. So I want to look at racketeering charges, at least for the kingpins here. In addition to that, some of these people are going, oh, wait a minute. You know, I'm just selling drugs to get along here, and some of them will cooperate or are cooperating and are pointing out other drug dealers and other distributors. We're coming for them, as the chief said. So it's like dropping a pebble into the water. It started out as a little ripple, and now we've got some big waves, and we hope a tsunami overcomes these drug dealers as we try to wash them away into the prison system, because that's where we can make a difference, when they're not on the street selling drugs and not on the street pointing guns at people. And make no mistake about it, they don't carry these just for looks. They don't carry these for any other reason than self-protection and intimidation for whoever they're dealing with at the time. Anything else?
Sheriff, any idea where these drugs are coming from? Or are they going in the county, or are they coming to Miami?
Well, most of your drugs comes from a variety of areas. Now your marijuana, we see some of it local, but this is pretty good stuff here. So somebody's growing it. One of the guys we arrested actually works at a medical or at a marijuana growing facility. But the drugs that we caught him with was that he was buying from someone else. So it wasn't from the facility he worked at, but he actually worked in a Lake Wells facility that legally grows marijuana, at least by state law. Anything else? Thank you all very much. Have a good day.